Bearded Biomed.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I am your host, the Bearded Biomed, and today I am joined by Surface Medical. Now, if you haven't heard of them, I highly encourage you to go check them out first and foremost. They have a lot of interesting products that would benefit your facility, and we're going to get into that today. So I'd love to get into, if you wouldn't mind, just letting people know, the journey of Surface Medical and the clean patch that we'll obviously get into, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for having me on your show today. My name is Iwan Lam. I'm the president and CEO of Surface Medical. We are a small Canadian company here that manufactures clean patch, the only product that allows facilities to repair the damaged patient services, like treatment tables, hospital mattresses, stretchers, positioners, pretty much any soft service that a patient come into contact with. Those are prone to damages, and our clean patch is designed to repair them. So just to tell everyone where we came from, we've been around for almost over 10 years now, actually. And our story is just over 10 years ago here in Calgary, our city. There's a chiropractor who was to just spend $650 reupholstering his treatment table. And 2 days later, one of his patients accidentally, with his belt buckle, ripped it wide open during his treatment. So as you imagine, this chiropractor is very unhappy about it, and is complaining to another patient and said, "Oh, you just spent so much money for posting a table. It took weeks to book an appointment, and now it's going to do it over again. And it's only been 2 days." Just so happened, this patient that he was complaining to is a healthcare consultant, and when he took mentioned it to his team, one of his business partner, who was an emergency nurse for 35 years, has said, "Hey, I see damaged mattresses in hospital all the time. They get ripped, they get cut, they get torn all the time. And trust me, they cost way more than $600 to replace. And the problem is, if you don't replace them, they're very difficult to clean. If you do replace them, they're expensive, and no one has money to do that." So what she ended up seeing is a lot of damages in facilities, in hospitals where patients are constantly getting treated on. So they mentioned this problem to my business partner and I back then, and said, "Look, right now the problem is there. We know it's there, and the solution is very expensive. There's got to be a better way." And when we looked at it, we thought, yeah, absolutely, there should be a better way. Between doing nothing and spending thousands of dollars on replacing a single piece of equipment because a small puncture. So we decided to figure out what the better way is, and that's how Surface Medical was born. When we looked at the problem, we thought, this is it's like having a wound on your skin. What do you do when you get a cut? You put a Band-Aid on it. So why not create a bandage for patient services? It's easy to apply, it's cheap, it's clean, and it just works. So we set up and create something like that, and what is known as Clean Patch today. And Clean Patch is exactly that. It's a pure and safe repair patch that is designed to repair damages on patient services. So since the damage occurs or identified, you use it to clean the service, apply the patch, pure and safe. There's no wait time, there's no cure time. Clean it again, and the service is intact and ready to put back in service. We launched Clean Patch in 2013, and right now we sell to just over 10 countries through other service providers or distributors, and we sell to all verticals of healthcare: acute care, long-term care, ambulatory care, surgical centers, outpatient clinics, even professional health, like rehab and chiro, of course. As long as there's a patient support service there, it's something that we try to promote Clean Patch too.
It's a lot of information, sir, but rightly so. So actually, I'm the one that reached out to you guys initially because I was on LinkedIn, as I am almost every day, and I saw someone talk about your product. I was like, what is this? Because, unfortunately, I hadn't heard of you guys until earlier this year. And which is, the whole reason for bringing you onto the show, because I want more people to be aware that this is a viable solution. As biomeds, as clinicians, as even patients, we've all come across, some kind of medical surface, whether it be an exam table surgical table, wheelchairs, any kind of maybe physical therapy, high-low bed. It doesn't matter. Your product covers, a wide range of materials, different sizes, different materials for different needs. And reached out to you. You sent me a demo of just some of the different sizes, different materials, and I would say I was pleasantly surprised with just the ease of use and the application. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to be doing a patch, it needs to be effective, but also, not be so egregiously difficult to apply. And, like you said, with curing and other options out there. So I do appreciate the fact that this is a range of solutions for a lot of different tables. Fast forward to after, we attempted to do our first call together, and I took my little demo folder with me with some of the materials, and I had a director of nursing. They had a striker table, surgical table, 3085. They had a quarter size rip on there. People might say, that aren't familiar with the medical world, like what's the big deal? Well, there's a lot of big deal, especially in a surgical, environment. There's infection control issues. There's, a range of things that have to be mitigated. So I showed her the product, and she was like, I didn't know this was out there. Again, this is this is something that I would like to change. So we applied the material, easy use, and there will be some videos coming out as well, so y'all can obviously see my experience with it. I do know on Surface Medical, you guys have some instructional videos as well. Also, product information, that kind of thing. So let's get into, let's play devil's advocate here. For the people that, might have an opinion on patching, or, might have an issue before even trying your product out. There's always the issue of, well, what's Joint Commission or what's DMV going to say? Is this regulated? Is this approved? I would love to hear how you guys have gone through that process and done, mitigated research and studies to showcase that your product is viable and is a solution that people should use.
Yeah, absolutely. We take this, very seriously. When we first look at the market and we ask people, what are you doing today, besides replacing it, we often find people, because they can't afford to replace, they start using tape, like wound care dressing or duct tape.
Medical tape is all the time I come across.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we've look into it, and we found out we actually make things worse. When you look at like duct tape, the adhesive residue will actually attract pathogens. And wound care dressing, your saliva, of course, it's meant for skin use. You can put a skin use tape on a piece of furniture. So it gives, and then so when they use the wound care dressing, it gives them a false sense of kind of safety. They thought the damage is covered, even though it's not covering. It's kind of sand cleaning, and it's still getting the fluid ingress into the surface. And when we go and we approach facilities, they kind of associate taping as a negative thing. Like you shouldn't put duct tape on your mattress, of course. And we had to make sure we do our proper research and development and our data and our information to educate the market and say, clean patch is not taping. It's two completely different things. And we've spent many years and a lot of resources to make sure that's the case. So, for example, clean patch is really designed to withstand the clinical use. It can be cleaned with all common cleaners day in, day out for years, thousands of cleaning cycles. And it can remain fully intact. We always get questions on whether the edges are cleanable, and we have third-party data to show that the edges are as cleanable as the surface of the patch, as the rest of the mattress. We've gone as far as even doing clinical validation studies, where we independently work with an organization, university hospital, to let them use clean patch in a real clinical setting to show that it does restore the surface to intact and cleanable state. And then at the end of all that, we've gone out and we registered clean patch with FDA, with Health Canada, and with CE. So clean patch is the only FDA, Health Canada registered Class 1 medical device to repair patient services. There's just nothing like that out there. and with a lot of data to support that. We've been at market now for over 10 years. We have a lot of experience with customers, with facilities, with accreditation organization like the Joint Commission. And we are able to consistently demonstrate our product, when used properly, does effectively restore and repair those services to intact and clinical state. So Joint Commission, for example, in the beginning, of course, they don't endorse product. So Joint Commission won't come and say we endorse clean patch.
Well, yeah, they can't endorse anything.
Yeah, but we said, well, can you at least update your guidelines? Because right now, when people look at guidelines, they think if you see damage, you have to replace, period. And we're saying, no, technology has advanced over the years. You can repair them. You don't have to replace them. And in 2018, they actually updated their guidance document on environmental cleaning to say, one, you can't have damages. Number one, of course. Two, you can tape them. And three, you can repair them with an approved patch. And again, clean patch is only FDA registered product out there. So over the years, we have received review by dozens, if not hundreds, of infection control departments around the world, as well as an organization like the Joint Commission. And we have consistently demonstrated clean patch, again, as a custom device. It's a tool to repair services, and it's not like taping. We work really hard to educate the market and say clean patch is not taping.
There's a lot of unwrap there, but one thing that stuck out to me especially was that you didn't wait for somebody to say, go run these studies. You guys went out and did viable research to justify and kind of be proactive about it, because you knew what you had and you knew that this is a technological solution that can be backed up by data. When you consider infection control, which this is very timely considering we're talking about this, we just recently, over the past couple of years, we've been dealing with COVID. And here lately, we're looking at monkeypox, which, that's a whole nother animal. This actually stays on surfaces. It can be, transferred through that. That's initially what the first scare was with COVID, and come to find out it was more airborne. This can be transferred on these kind of items. So let's just say that, you have a rip in a mattress or whatever, they clean it, and then, you put the patch on it. That's you doing your due diligence as the end user, as the biomed, to ensure that you are, doing everything you can to mitigate any kind of infection from setting in on that material. And let's be quite frank here. A lot of the materials used, especially, when you go from exam tables to physical therapy tables to surgical tables, the price continues to go up, sometimes into the thousands, of replacing some of these pads. And not all these facilities have the funds just to willy-nilly go replacing every little nick, hole and scrape and cut that's not even the size of a dime sometimes. And to me, that seems a little bit silly to go and replace an entire pad for something that small. As for the studies and also, just all the data that you guys have accumulated, over the years, is that readily available on the website for people to review? Because I do see that you guys post about, this kind of stuff all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. All of our testing data is on the website, microbial testing data, chemical resistant testing data, durability testing data is on the website. And all of our clinical validation testing were published in peer-reviewed journals, and also on our website as well. So everything we have from instruction for years to all those supporting data, to even case studies, is all published on our website for people to download and evaluate. And on the topic of cost savings, I think everyone who listen to this show are probably no surprise at how expensive things are in healthcare. But quite at the same time, sometimes they can also be surprised at how expensive some items can really get. And patient services is one of those things. When we look at how much a replacement mattress costs, on the low end, if you just buy a standard, your Striker or your foam structure mattress, it's at least $600-$800 for a piece. And once you go into even your surgical gel positioners and pads, those are hundreds of dollars. And when you go to ICU beds, low air loss mattresses, etc., the covers alone will cost you a couple grand or higher. It's really expensive. So no matter how you size it, you're talking hundreds of dollars. Whereas when you look at repair, and the concept of repairing is cheaper than replacement, I think that's just a very common concept, and this is no exception. To repair a clean patch is somewhere between, depending on the size and shape and material, maybe $10 to $35 if it's a bigger damage. So you're talking, somewhere less than $50 to hundreds of thousands of dollars between for repair versus replacement, and that's just a direct cost. If you really think about the logistics of replacing a mattress in a healthcare setting, someone has to flag it, someone has to put in a work order, someone has to transport that mattress out of service,
Landfill,
to somewhere they can dispose of it, buy a new one, put it back in. The administrative cost to replace a piece of equipment is also very expensive, and sometimes it's hard to define for one mattress. But if you really look at it, what the cost difference and time difference between applying a patch on the spot versus trying to get new service in or get new upholster in, it is really staggering. And those are the little things that people don't recognize as, this mattress, could use a new one, they replace it, that goes on. But when you really think about it, it's a really, really wasteful and time-consuming process. And we think just being proactively repairing them can really have a big impact on any facilities.
Oh, one thing that when we talked offline and before is both of us really don't really understand the medical infrastructure when it comes to how much waste there is in our system. So to caveat what you were talking about before, all these mattresses that are getting thrown out into the landfills, like I just recently I had a short little video I posted about plastic bags, for covering disinfected medical equipment to show that it's been cleaned and ready for next use. When the end user puts the bag on it, the biomet has to take the bag off, do calibrations, a new bag goes onto it. Just imagine, take, the hundreds of pieces of medical equipment in the hospital, multiply that by, I'd say, at least 4 per item because of taking it off and on, coming in, having to take it off. That's not including every end user. So multiply that by every hospital in the United States and imagine how many plastic bags we go through just to show that we clean something. It's basically the same kind of concept when you consider, torn pads, torn mattresses, this little nick gets taken out and you just got, I've seen pictures. There's mountains of mattresses and pads and stuff out there. This is an option that not only is cost effective, but it's eco-friendly. And, if we're really being frank, if we want to reduce medical waste, but also help the environment, this is another, notch that you guys have on your belt with your product, which I appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, patient services like cost of mattress is one of those things where right now there's just no way to repurpose them, no way to recycle them. When they have to be disposed, it goes straight to landfill. And they take up so much space. It's a lot of waste. Even let's say you look at a 500-bed hospital, even if you just have to replace 5% of the mattresses, and we're only talking mattresses, not other services. That's 25 mattresses, and you close your eyes, imagine what 25 mattresses look like in a pile. That is a lot of waste going to landfill, and that's just 5%. When we look at hospital and we do assessment, the damage rate is sometimes over 20-30%. So the waste we generate is staggering, and it's always that goes to landfill. So what we are very passionate about also, and we've been participating in all the events where you can promote awareness, is to say, before you throw a piece of equipment away, like a mattress, can you save it? Okay? And the beauty of kind of what we offer, at least what CleanPatch can offer is, most damages happen small and they get big over time. So if you can catch it early, 95% of all damages can be repairable before they're too late. And every mattress you replace is one piece of equipment away from landfill. And that's something that we're very excited about. I don't think there are a lot of kind of inventions out there that can truly say something like, you're really preventing a whole class of material diverting away from landfill and all that stuff. But we are, by giving facilities a way to repair instead of replace those services, we know we are making a big impact in terms of sustainability, in terms of promoting the circular economy, and driving down greenhouse gas emission, all that stuff. But we need participation. We can offer the solution, but at the end of the day, it comes down to implementation, right? If people are not actively trying to look for damages and repair them before it becomes too late, then that's not going to do anyone any good. So we are trying to raise awareness to say, before you throw a piece of equipment away, because that's what they're used to doing anyway, that's the standard practice is you get a new one, you buy a new one, stop and take a look and see if you can.
I mean, a lot of people are going to have the insight to know what goes on in some of the hospitals, but I know of a couple where they actually have rooms where they just have torn mattresses too far gone just stacked up to the ceiling. Now, imagine if we had gotten a hold of some of those before it got to that point. I've seen hospitals where they let mattresses get ripped to the point to where they shouldn't be used and they're still being used. And part of the reason is, the budget to buy new mattresses. So, do we want the solution to be a cost-effective eco-solution, or do we want the solution to just, be in a disparity across the medical infrastructure with cost and, impact on the environment and everything else? Because you're either on one side or the other. There's no in between for me in this kind of thing. Is when it comes to medical waste, you either turn a blind eye to it, or you actively, see this as just one of the facets within the medical system in America that we kind of need to. Obviously, you're in Canada as well, but I would assume this is also occurring across the world as well. I mean, we're not so special, America, that this is a sole issue, but I'm just speaking just from what I've seen in the multiple hospitals I come across, and this is the same story all the time. Obviously, we're not saying that your patch is an end-all solution for some of those cuts and holes and everything that ends up in them that are just too large to manage. So, for those listening, those watching, what would you say is a good safe point, or when do you look at something to say it's too far gone? Like, what is your size standard, I guess, for patching?
Yeah, so there are two kind of major, major things that we would recommend people look for when they decide whether the mattress is, or any service is repairable. One is, of course, the size of the damage. When the damage gets too big, and by too big, we're talking maybe greater than 7 inches in length, that impacts the structural integrity of the cover of the surface. And we don't recommend people patching it. And we definitely don't recommend people putting 3-4 patches back to back, overlapping each other to cover 20-inch rip. That's not what the product is designed for, and it does impact the structural kind of structure of the mattress cover. So number one, the damage cannot be too big. Ideally under 5 inches or under 7 inches, depending on the material. And then the second thing, which I think is the more important thing, is fluid ingress. If you look at the damage, you look under the damaged area, and you see fluid. Maybe it's blood, maybe it's urine, whatever it is, it's too late. No, you shouldn't patch up a mattress that's full of blood, of course. It does seem obvious, but sometimes when you look at a small needle hole or 1-inch tear, that's all it takes for blood and fluid to go inside. So it's something that is because of damage size. As soon as the surface is compromised, you really want to catch it before fluid ingress occurs. And if you do see fluid ingress has occurred, you should replace it, unfortunately. So those two things we look for. So then the question is, how should a facility implement damage assessment, how to look for damages. The good thing is all these equipments are cleaned very routinely, several times a day, either by nurses or EVS. So every time the surface is clean, it's a good time to inspect to make sure it's still intact and still cleanable. So if implemented properly, it's actually relatively easy for facility to catch most of the damages early as they occur. Every time there's a cleaning, just look for them and report them, or just repair them on the spot. And if you catch them early, then you prevent them from getting too big, and you catch it before fluid ingress occurs.
Well said.
And if you can do that right,
I imagine
you can catch a lot of those damages.
When we talk about obviously getting into infection control and mitigating that, plus, you've been doing this for over a decade now. It's kind of common practice that, I don't want to say common practice, but there's been an influx and outflux of patient care. It's always going to be that way, depending on what new disease and everything we have going. But sometimes people, have other concerns than checking the integrity of their mattresses and warrants and what have you. Do y'all have, let's just say if somebody was questioning on if this is a viable option to use a clean patch, like could they reach out to y'all, send y'all pictures, that kind of thing? I imagine that's the case, but I just wanted to bring clarity to that.
Absolutely. We really welcome everyone to reach out to us and ask us questions. Like you said, if they want to send us a picture and say, we just saw this yesterday, can you repair it? 1. 2 is what product is ideal, is it suitable for repair? We're happy to provide those support. What we started working with now, just recently, in the last 7 or 8 months, is to work with independent biomedical equipment service providers or independent cleaning service providers. So, instead of, in addition to just having a facility themselves trying to implement, service assessment and then look for damages and repair, sometimes when you look at small clinics, they don't have the resources. They don't have an in-house full-time biomedical engineers to maintain the equipment. And sometimes just the clinic owners and a couple clinicians, usually they outsource it to the equipment maintenance to independent company. And now we're working with a lot of them and say, when you go and provide preventative maintenance services, you can also provide service assessment and repair services as well. So this way, if they can catch it early in-house, if they want to implement a way to assess and repair, they can do that. Or if you want to work with someone who come in routinely and do the assessment and repair to make sure the equipments are fully intact as well, once or twice a year, we want to provide that option too. But otherwise, we are building that network so that we can work with service providers, cleaning service providers, biomedical equipment repair service providers, distributors, and then we also provide training ourselves. So we encourage anyone who is curious about whether they could benefit from implementing service repair. Definitely reach out to us. We're happy to draw on like you said, our over 10 years of experience to see whether our product is suitable for the services that you have, and what works, what might work for you, and what kind of impact it might have for you from a cost saving perspective, from a patient safety perspective, infection.
Oh yeah, that sounds good.
Or waste reduction perspective.
But Wayne needs that button. I like that you guys are allowing different entities to obviously work to assist in our medical facilities, ISOs, EBS. There's different people are going to have different perspectives and also have different reach to assist in obviously mitigating the throwing away of mattresses when they can be saved by a patch. Let me go ahead and get into a segment I'd love to bring you on. So let me hit the button here.
Oh, the modality.
So normally on the bearded segments that I have, the modality typically is structured for the biomed to give a story or maybe a repair or a circumstance that sticks out in their mind. I'm going to tailor this to your realm. Do you have maybe a particular study or, maybe, an in-service or some kind of outreach that sticks out to you story-wise that you'd be able to share with the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a hospital here in Calgary, really new hospital. When we first talked to them, I think they were less than 5 years old. So a lot of the equipment are still new. They're still kind of expanding the number of rooms and patients. And when we approached them, they said, oh, look, we're a brand new hospital, new equipment. We spend millions of dollars on new mattresses already. They're brand new. We don't have this problem. So no, we're not talking we're not talking major damages. You don't have mattresses that are torn up, cut up, and using for decades. But I bet you, there are small, punches or cuts or tears that, it does render the equipment a bit unhygienic. And let's take a look. I bet you want to know too. What is the status of your brand new hospital? So they said, sure, come in. They let us in at 4 a.m. in the morning, let us go through all the beds before the operating rooms open and the outpatient department clinics open. And we found a damage rate of just over 20%, 1 in 5. And again, we're not talking big damages, we're not talking the 5-inch cut everywhere, but 1-inch tear, a rib, a puncture, 1 in 5. So they're absolutely shocked. So then we said, well, let us help you repair for one, but also let us help you implement. So what we did was then we spent a couple of days. We met with EVS, met with facility maintenance. We showed them the product, showed them the training. We walk with them to a different room and say, this is how you assess the damage. This is how you repair it, peel and stay, clean it before, after. And then the hospital actually proactively written policy and say, if your job is to look for damages when you clean a room, and when you do it, this is who you report to. So they actually developed these guidelines and posters. And just from those 2 days of training and creating those supporting documents, they have been on top of it. It just become a standard of use for them. When you clean the room, if you see a rip, just like you see a broken light bulb, you just lock it and you tell someone about it. And for them, this is just become standard practice. And this is something that we think it excites us because we see when a hospital is committed to making changes, and I think they were new. So they're just trying to find out how best to operate. We see how they can benefit from it. And we look at how much waste they're generating in terms of replacing mattresses versus some of the other hospitals here in town who are been around for 40, 50 years. And we look at the ratio of mattress replacement, it's staggering. It works. Like they're not throwing as many mattresses away. So we know, so that experience made us realize, the experience works. If we get buy-in from all the stakeholders, from the facilities, from IPNC, EVS, FMNE, purchasing, it doesn't take a lot. At the end of the day, it's just looking for holes and putting a patch on it. But once you get initial information process going, it's a beautiful thing. It's just it just becomes a better facility, and that's stories like that, experiences like that keep us going and say,
this was a new facility. Kudos to them for obviously swallowing their pride when they obviously said we didn't have a problem. 20% is a lot. You don't, especially when you don't recognize that you have a problem whatsoever. Recognizing there's a problem and then doing the due diligence and putting the work and the effort in to get it resolved. I mean, that's you putting patient care at the front, which it should be. At the end of the day, no matter what sector of the medical field you're in, that's the bottom line. That's what it's all about. It's about patient safety and elevating patient care. If you're not doing that, then you're in the wrong business.
Absolutely. And I think when you look at this, it's not just patient, it's the worker too. Right? The worker that, moving the equipment around after the patient's discharged, you don't want the worker to get exposed to. This is part of that. I guess another story very quickly is when I talked to the maintenance department in another hospital, they were like, this is fantastic because right now when they repair a piece of equipment in the basement, in the maintenance shop, this is essentially where they eat lunch. And right now they're eating lunch next to a mattress that they know is probably not the cleanest and it's compromised. It might be filled with blood, may feel whatever. So for them, it's like, wow, we have a way to actually repair this and have it, dealt with in the office rather than having this pile of mattresses in the same room that we eat lunch. So it's little things like that we never build into a business plan.
There's always a pile of something somewhere in the hospital people don't realize. It could be medical equipment. It could be mattresses. It could be bedpans. I mean, I've seen piles of so many things. I always say hospitals are inherently hoarders one way or another. It may not be in the hospital section. It could be in the office section. But every hospital has I call it the scratch and dip department, that they just kind of throw stuff. And, that's kind of where things go to die. It's an interesting aspect that I think most people don't realize, but it's good that we got companies out there, doing the studies, doing the work to try to just, like I said, I appreciate you guys not only from giving a solution to save facilities money, but also tackle a eco waste standpoint. And, at the end of the day, provide a service that is not costly to the end user, but is just as effective as anything else, if not more. So kudos to you guys. I've had a couple vendors on here on the show before. I've only given out one bearded seal of approval so far, and you guys are going to get my second one. So as we go forward and maybe the show gets bigger, people will vie for the bearded seal of approval, but the Clean Patch Surface Medical Solution will be the second official bearded seal of approval. So
no cooking necessary, no assembly required.
You just get it, you slap it on, you apply it, and it's good to go. So before I let you go today, where can people obviously reach out for more information? The website, and then some of your key distributors that people should look into if they're interested in the product.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, thank you for that. We really appreciate that. Our website, www.cleanpatch.ca, is a place of, it's a wealth of information. Everything we learned for the last 10 years is all on there. So we welcome anyone to go visit it, take a look, and reach out to us that way to see how we can support you. Like I mentioned, we do work with different distribution partners in over 10 countries. We work with a network of service providers who can provide a service assessment and repair service. And we are also on several GPOs as well. We are on Vizian and Health Trust, and in Canada we're on Health Pro and MFC. So there are a lot of ways to get Clean Patch as a product, as a service. And what I recommend for everyone who's listening, who's interested, is reach out to us. Before we tell us where you can buy it, let us tell you, let us help you, support, show you what you need. Let us provide the data you need to make sure this is right for your facility. Let's give you the supporting data for your infection control department to look it over. It's a relatively new concept, they can repair service. So let us provide support you on that. And then let us connect you with the right partner that's close to the area.
If you're listening or watching, I'll have some links in the description to take you directly to them as well. Get you to get eyes on the Clean Patch, and obviously the different sizes and solutions they have for the different materials that are out there. Again, I appreciate you being on the show today. It's been a pleasure. I'm glad we got to get you on and get the message out and let people know, Clean Patch Surface Medical is here. It's not going anywhere, and it's a viable solution for any, medical facility today.
It's a pleasure being on your show.
It's been a pleasure, sir, and may the beard be with you.
Bearded. Bow, man.